for all the support. Since we got 100 subs, we are going to be doing a giveaway for a $10 Gamestop gift card every week for this month. In order to enter the giveaway, like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell and comment below what you'd like to buy with the gift card. Alright, let's get into the video.
Welcome back to Brothers in Gaming, Creepypasta Gametime. I'm your host, Master of Horrors, Jared.
And I'm Jesse. Let's get into the game.
Get into the game, and I will get into the pasta. This is a classic pasta in the most classic sense. This is a special one. It is a creepy story / poem because this is Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven from 1845, I believe. Alright, I will launch in while Jess gets into a fight. The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone rapping my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each dying, separate ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, that it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door that I scarce was sure I heard you." Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there and nothing more. Deepness into the darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before, but the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore?" This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Literally this and nothing more." Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, something louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, then this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped yet a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mine of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being had yet ever was blessed, seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on that placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before, on the row he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." And then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled by the stillness broken, by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore." But the raven, still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking I betook myself to linking, fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking "Nevermore." Thus I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, at the lamplight gloated o'er. But the velvet violet lining, with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, ah, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. "Wretch," I cried, "thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee respite, rest thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or tempest tossed, thee here ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Be that word or sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting, "Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dream, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Some fucking crispy ass shit, I could tell you that. God damn, that's a good one. I love The Raven.
Always gonna be a classic.
A good one. Not the first time I've actually performed The Raven. I hope it sounded like I've done that before.
Cool.
Oh god, it definitely wasn't time though.
You did it in school.
I did it in school. I've read it other times too. Like I've performed that to myself.
Oh really?
I'm not a professional, but
very cool.
I think I do decently at it. Oh, I'm looking for the next one here. Don't mind me, bros at home, and broettes. Oh, let's see. What do we got? Oof, boy, oh, how long is that one? Ooh, boy, I want to read it, but it's so long. I don't know if I'll have time to do that whole one. Oh. Alright, here we go. This is another classic that I think most people have heard. I'll get into some lesser known ones at some point. But this one is the Russian sleep experiment. Should I do it in a Russian accent? Nah, I don't want to offend anybody. I feel like they would not like my accent.
Crazy Russian hacker.
Crazy Russian hacker. At Crazy Russian Hacker. Tell me if this is good.
He said no.
No, it's no good. This is the Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was high in toxic concentration. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they only had microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on but no bedding, running water and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increased traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took a much darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternatingly whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think that they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity, with them. Oh god. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or rather, didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming kept the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering to the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure that they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced, "We're opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom. To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice response. We no longer want to be freed. Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphone began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones, to turn the gas back on. Why do I keep losing my place? My text keeps, like, jumping up.
Stupid text.
I don't know why it's doing that. To turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state of any of them life. The food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead subject's thighs and chest stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the rib cage of all 4 test subjects had been removed. While the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place, the skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the rib cage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded to be turned back on lest they fall asleep. God damn it, it did that again. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives if you count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured, and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of a morphine derivative and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arm of one doctor. When heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out to the point that there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the word more over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the three was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative that they'd given him to prepare for the surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, even through the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under. And the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had triple the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in his struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were from the forces. Oh God, why does it keep doing that? Most of them were from the forces his own muscles had exerted on them. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested, reluctantly, that they try surgery without anesthetic, and did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically possible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must have been of something of dramatic... Oh God, I can't read now. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and a pad fetched so that the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well. Although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation, the surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, why they wanted to be given the gas. Only one response was given: I must remain awake. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed. Oh, jeez. I don't know why this keeps doing that. The researchers facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed to the stated goals of their project considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential, wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected but were overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point, all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might. First left, then right. Then left again for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off of his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he were repeatedly suffering brain death, but returning to normal. As they focused on paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, and then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwave showed the same flat lines as the one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. "I won't be locked in here with these things, not with you," he screamed at the man strapped to the table. "What are you?" he demanded. "I must know." The subject smiled. "Have you forgotten so easily?" the subject asked. "We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread." The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out, "So nearly free." And it says here that the original author is unknown. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. I'd love to shout them out. God, that's a good one. It's creepy stuff. That one is cool because, like, I could totally have seen that happen. Like, crazy fucking Russian witch doctor motherfuckers doing...
Experimenting on people.
Yeah, doing experiments that are just completely inhumane.
What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Please do.
Not that the United States is much better.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Where? Exactly where we are located.
I don't know how long it's been. That feels like it's pretty close. I read 2 of them. I don't think I have time for another one. Let me look for something that's like short and sweet. Some very short ones. Oh, that's not it.
You know, the Russian experiment one didn't have a author. That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought that one did. Damn it. I thought that it did, but it didn't. Oh shit, is there a No End House 2? Oh shit. Maybe I'll read that someday, but probably not right now. Damn, bro.
Damn, son.
Damn, son. Oh.
Oh, golly.
Golly gosh, I'm sorry for silence. I'm looking for another one. Something that's short. Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is like the definition of a short creepypasta. This is called In the Kitchen. It doesn't say who wrote this. I'll have to look it up or something. If there is a listed author. This is their work, not mine. A young girl is playing in her bedroom when she hears her mother call. Ah, damn it, I can't see the whole thing. A young girl is playing in her bedroom when she hears her mother call to her from the kitchen, so she runs downstairs to meet her mother. As she's running through the hallway, the door to the cupboard under the stairs opens, and a hand reaches out and pulls her in. It's her mother. She whispers to her child, "Don't go into the kitchen." I heard it too. Now that's a short and sweet one. Like, can you fucking imagine, like, hearing something, like, so recognizable or comforting as one of your parents' voice, and then some fucked up shit like that.
And in some ways, those are more scary because they leave your mind just sort of wondering.
Oh, yeah. Do do do, ba ba da bee, ba ba doo. Ba da da da. We'll just look up maybe like one more. Ba da ba da 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 da. Oh, come on. I know there's got to be another good classic here somewhere. This is like a classics episode. This is a good one, but I don't know. Oh, I'm still looking, bros.
Home.
At the old home. Alright, here we go. Here's another one. I've read this before. This is In Hot Water. I've been in the shower for hours now, and I have yet to run out of hot water. Can't leave. Something sits on the toilet seat, only a few feet away from me. He's watching me. I peeked through the curtain earlier just to get a glimpse of him. I wish I hadn't. He had gray skin, only a few patches of long, thin hair on his head. He had nails that could have been at least a foot long, but there was blood on his nails, with pieces of my wife's flesh still hanging off of the tip. Every once in a while he'll make a creaky chuckle, a clearing of the throat, to show he's still there. I don't want to get out, but the water keeps getting hotter and hotter. I'm starting to blister. I stand here with the boiling water hitting my back, and I wonder how much longer I can take this. Boy, that's a short and sweet one, because it's just fucking hopeless. Like, there's some fucking demon sitting there just waiting for you to come out, so it's either suffer in the hot water or maybe it kills you fast.
Pick your poison.
Pick your poison. I think we'll just wrap it right there. I think that's good.
About it.
I hope you guys liked The Raven and the Russian Sleep Experiment and a couple little bonus shorties. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe.
Press the notification bell.
Hit that bell.
Make sure to do all the requirements for the giveaway.
The giveaway this week at the time we recorded it. Bye.
Bye.